I'm Eileen Pitkeathly, and I served at Digby in 1941 to 1943.
And whilst you're there, obviously you served as a plotter within the operations room. What we're going to talk about, Eileen, is that as well as your time at Digby, we'd like to really discuss your career that you had in the RAF during those
You want to
years.
ask me some more about the...
Yeah, I mean, what some of the questions we were looking at was how long were your shifts, for example? You know, so did you start in the morning or did you work how many hours? Or?
Well, we started in the morning, yes, and we would work through till, I don't know, lunchtime, I suppose. Yes, and then probably another one.
Another shift in the afternoon?
Yes, and then we'd have time off.
Right.
Yeah.
How often would you have a day off or a 48 pass?
48 pass, well, maybe about 4 or 5 days, as far as I can remember. Yes, 4 or 5 days maybe, yeah.
So it's almost like a normal working week?
Well, it is, but I mean, we had to also have them during the night, you see.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we came off in the morning, we'd want to go to bed. So I mean, we're on most of the night, really, especially if it was busy, which it was sometimes, yes.
Yeah. And we'd like to talk about that later on, about some of the operations at night, etc.
Yes.
Quite interesting.
How many different watches were there for the table? Because you had your watch of 6 or 7 plotters and a corporal.
That's right. A, B, C, D. I think there were A, B, C, D, 4.
4.
I would think 4.
On which watch were you?
I was on A, yeah.
So it's more or less about an 8-hour day you worked then?
Yes,
really?
yeah.
Yeah, okay. So that's about normal. Nothing's changed, that's exactly the way we work it now.
Can I just mention a few names and see if you recognise any of these? Because there was a Marjorie Smith, Marjorie Turner.
Yes, Marjorie Turner.
Marjorie Turner.
Was she a corporal?
She was an LACW when she arrived at Digby in 1941.
Yeah, she went on to be a corporal, I think.
Because she left some recollections with the museum when it opened in 1997. She said the NCO in charge of her watch was Betty. Somebody was that Betty who had the
Betty?
the nice.
No, that was Pam.
That was Pam.
Okay. She did mention the following names as girls that she worked with on the watch, and I don't know if any of them were there when you were.
She wasn't on my watch, mind you.
No. Okay. She thought she was on a watch, but you might know some of the names. Marjorie Piper, Maeve Ray.
Oh, I don't think so.
Dorothy Heron.
There's a lot.
Marion Haste. Bunty Tweedy.
That one I remember.
Okay.
Yeah, there were some men on as well. Some young men.
The people that she mentioned was after she moved to Colby Grange, who were Canadian pilots, so she doesn't have any of the names of the men from Blankney. Can you remember any of the ones that you worked with?
I can remember one called Pip. And another one who got ginger hair. I can't remember his name. Oh dear. This one called Pip was dark, and he was an organist, actually. Yeah. Maybe I should have said I was on B Watch. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah.
Well, perhaps we'll have a dig and see if we can find those.
Yeah, because we've got some records going back to the hall.
Oh, you have, yes.
Yeah. And these are the sort of gaps we'd like to fill in to get a complete story, really. It's quite interesting when we do it like this. Right, so we've talked about, you started your shift pattern and how all that was going to work.
By the way, there was a sort of station right high up. It was called A. And nobody wanted to go onto that because you're connected to Hucknall.
Was that Ops A?
Ops A, yes.
Okay.
And that's where it would come through to say, well, red section scramble and all that sort of thing. And you'd sit there for ages then all of a sudden it would say red section scramble, and you couldn't get the words out. And nobody wanted to go on there.
Is that just what one plotter would go up there?
Yes, that's all.
And that was it? They wouldn't come back? That was their new job?
No, you'd come back. You just be told to go there, you know, for so long.
Yeah.
And it seemed ages.
You just sat there waiting for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful.
So with those of you around the table, were you Ops B?
Yeah.
Was Ops B was the team of plotters
That's
on the
right,
table?
that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we get, the terminology is confusing sometimes.
Yeah, well, of course it's a long time ago, and I can't remember all of it exactly.
No, well, that's right. I mean, just some of the triggers that we get, you know. It's just...
You mentioned there were 6 or 7 plotters around the table. Were you all working on the table at the same time?
Yes, yes.
You didn't take it in turns to have rest during...
No, there was some having a rest, you see, and they'd come and replace us.
Yeah.
But it got very boring towards the end of the time, you know, when there wasn't so much going on. And we were connected to the DF stations.
Right.
And so we used to chat to the person on the other end.
Okay, so this is on your headset?
That's right.
In your mouthpiece, you could chat.
Yes.
Right, because that's very interesting that you say that.
Well, should I tell you some more about that?
Yes, please. Cause
personally.
This is very interesting.
Well, I got very friendly with this man on the other end. Now, I didn't know what sort of person he was, whether how old or he was or anything. So he suggested to me, after we'd been talking a few nights and, you know, quite a long time, he said, shall we meet at Digby and go to the cinema, you see? So I said, all right. But I mean, I had to walk all the way up there. And we went to the cinema. And of course, he was much older than I thought. And he obviously was a married man, you see. So I sort of had to sort of hold him at arm's length. But anyway, he said he would walk back with me to Digby. So he did. And then, of course, he started being too affectionate. And so I said, no, you see, and he shook hands with me in the end, and he says, it's nice to meet a WAF who, you know, won't sort of...
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, right.
So that a lot of the WAF, you know, talked to them on the other end and got quite friendly with them, yes.
Yeah.
So do you know how many DF stations there were talking into the ops room?
Well, as many as were WAF around the table.
Right. I mean, can you remember any of the names of the places where the stations were?
I ought to remember.
Sutton Bridge was one, wasn't it?
Would there be High Urkel? High Urkel.
I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
Because I know there was a connection with Orby.
Orby, yes, yes.
Was that as a DF station?
That's right, yes.
Okay. And
was the one on the coast? There's one on the coast, I think.
I've seen references to Manby.
That's right, yes, Manby.
I know Manby was a fighter base as well, wasn't it? Later on. And we talk about, for RDF.
Yes, RDF, yeah.
Ingold Mills for Chain Home Low, and Stenigott for Chain Home High, but I don't know if they were talking to you.
I don't remember those, no.
Okay, because they were RDF rather than HFDF.
Well, you see, the man I met, he couldn't have been terribly far away because he came to Digby, you see. Okay. So he couldn't be very far away.
Yeah.
There were some mobile units with just one man.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yeah, we've got some of the names, you know, but there was a lot of them, as you say.
Yes,
so
yes, there were.
Look at that one, yeah.
So were they the only people that were talking into your ear?
Yes, yeah. That's right, yeah.
Oh, okay, so that was direct to one. If there were a few of you around the table, did you each have responsibility for a set part of the table of the sector?
Oh, yes, yes. The ones that were within reach of where we were sitting, you see, because, I mean, you could only reach so far with these rods. And so, yes, you'd have a certain part, yes.
So how would you pass the plot onto the person next to you if it was moving into their area? Would you have to say to them, that's yours now? Or?
Well, yes, we didn't have to say anything, we just stopped.
Mm-hmm.
You see, we realised, you see, where it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. It used to be very frightening when we had a hostile. We had to put yellow with H in black on it for hostile onto the thing. And it was quite frightening then, because that's when it started, when the plot started.
Right.
And you've got to get them accurately, you see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's leading on nicely to talk about how you actually did this when you saw hostile, you know.
Yes.
It'd be quite interesting to hear how you actually, from picking up hostile coming onto the table, how you work the table.
Well, it was coming through the headphones, you see. And the plots were coming through the headphones.
Yeah.
And we got to put them on the table, on the grid. It was, you see, made into a grid, and you put the arrows onto the table and saw them going in a line or whatever. Yes.
Right. And so the guy, obviously the overall controller,
Yes.
he was monitoring that
That's
as well.
right, that's right.
And so...
Well, there were a lot of sergeants around
NCOs.
first of all, and then officers. Yes.
Can you remember what each of them did?
I can't remember what each of them did. No.
Yeah. Because I take it then that...
They might have looked at the plots and, you know, given them to whoever was going to direct the planes. Yeah.
So did you only put enemy aircraft on the plot, or did you put our aircraft on the...
We'll put ours on as well.
So you could actually see them heading towards
That's
you,
right.
and you
And
move them.
yes, that's right. And we would plot any plane that came into the area, you see, and it would be a special thing on the indicator if it was friendly or not, the colours, you see.
Right.
So I mean the hostiles were yellow and black, so I mean that was easy to see. So
Yeah.
So I thought you had a copy of the Digby Digest, because
it's here.
Yeah, it's got one here.
that has some of the that has a picture of the block in it, doesn't it?
Yeah. There's one actually on the big one here. We've got a picture of the block. Yeah.
That was the previous edition.
Yeah. We've got a picture of the block within the photographs there. Yeah.
Plotting.
So and friendly forces on the block then, they were indicated just by the blue, was it, or something like
Yeah,
that?
another colour.
Another
Yes,
colour.
that's right.
Right, okay.
But I mean, we would plot them. Yes.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it would come through the headphones. Hostile aircraft at such and such a height and such a speed, you see. Yeah.
And did you make up the block yourself and then
Yes,
put it on the
yes.
table? Okay.
That's right. And we got all the arrows as well. And they were coloured, you know, to say which one it was.
Right, okay.
Mm.
And how many times, say in a minute, or did you have to move the block? Did you have to show its direction every few minutes and where it was heading?
Oh yes, yes. More than a few minutes actually. Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
So it's quite, as it was coming in...
It was quick.
It was quick, was it?
Yes, yeah, it was
Right,
quick,
okay.
yeah.
Because we weren't quite sure on how often some of the blocks were moved, whether it was timed off the clock or, you know.
No.
Right.
Mm.
How often did you have hostile raids to plot?
Well, quite often. When I was first there, we had them quite often. Mm-hmm. Yes, because it was just after the Battle of Britain, really,
Right.
and a lot of the WAFs who'd been at Oxbridge and had been absolutely worn out, you know, with all the plotting, came up to Digby, supposed to be for a rest.
Oh, right.
But then, of course, they started on us, you see, coming further north to us, yes.
Yeah.
So they rotated people a bit like they did with the squadrons, from 11 grip to 12 grip and back again.
Mm.
Okay.
Did any of the Digby plotters get sent down to Uxbridge?
No.
You were-
No, we didn't, no. Yeah.